Welcome to a meeting of your Planning Commission, the official local planning agency for the cities of Tampa, Temple Terrace, Plant City, and unincorporated Hillsborough County. The Planning Commission provides innovative leadership and long-range vision that contributes to the creation of a thriving, prosperous community that offers opportunity, fairness, and choice in how we live, move, learn, work, and play. For more information about the Planning Commission, please call 813-272-5940. Follow us on social media or visit our website at planhillsborough.org.
Welcome to the July 10th, 2023 regular meeting of the Hillsborough County City-County Planning Commission. We thank you for attending this meeting. Your comments and participation are encouraged. For those attending in person and wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign the register at the rear of the room and turn off any devices that may be a distraction. Excuse me. To minimize feedback in the audio, all online participants in the meeting will be muted until it is their opportunity to speak. Planning commissioners should unmute themselves to indicate that they would like to speak. Please be sure to state your name at the beginning of your remarks for the benefit of the clerk. There will be an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments. When your name is called, you will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. Please wait until the chair calls on you to begin speaking. State your name at the beginning of your comments and adhere to the time limits. If anyone has difficulties or is watching via HTV and would like to provide comments to be included in the record for the local government hearing, please email them to planner@plancom.org. That's PLANNER@plancom.org. For action items, the meeting will be conducted as follows. The agenda item will be introduced. Staff will give their presentation with a 15-minute time limit. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation with a 15-minute time limit. Following presentations, members of the public may address the Planning Commission when recognized by the chair. Public comment will be heard for 3 minutes per person. The applicant will be afforded a 3-minute period for rebuttal or response. Planning commissioners will ask questions. Public comment will be closed. Then upon a motion, a second, and discussion, a vote will be taken. With that introduction, I would ask that you all join me in the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Please rise. For a quiet moment, I invite all of you to express gratitude for the blessings in our community, for those who serve and protect us, for our family and friends who support us, the built and natural assets that create this wonderful place we live. Please take a moment of silence. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. With that, I'd like to ask the clerk to go ahead and please call roll.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Bernstein?
Here.
Bowden?
Here.
Buzza? Commissioner Buzza? Cardenas?
Here.
Fernandez?
Here.
Handy?
Here.
Kress? Commissioner Kress? Lauk?
Here.
Soria? Commissioner Soria? Orton?
Here, Lori Belangia for Michelle Orton.
Rodriguez?
Here.
Joseph?
Here.
Thank you. You have quorum.
All right, thank you very much. We did not have anyone sign up for non-action items on the agenda in the public comment, so we'll move past that, the public input section, onto our briefings and presentations. Item number 3 on the agenda, and the first one is 3A, 2050 population employment projections, and the presenter is Yasser Gonzalez.
Yes, indeed. This is Yasser Gonzalez, Planning Commission staff. Anybody can see my screen out there? You all can see my screen in your monitors?
There we go.
Yes. Thank you, thank you. Once again, this is Yasser Gonzalez, Planning Commission staff. I don't get to come here often, so this is a treat for me every time I get to come and say hello. For those of you that have been here a while, we come to you every 5 years with this projections. So back in 2018, we came to 2045 projections. Now we have updated that to 2050. And again, we just come to you with an information item, no action is required. So a couple items, we're gonna go into some background and answer some questions that have been swirling around. Although we don't come to the meeting often, we do monitor this meeting assiduously, and we keep tabs and we try to answer some of the questions that come up either from you or the general public that we're gonna be addressing through this presentation. We're gonna talk about the planning scenario, what is it that we mean by that. We're gonna actually go into the projections and then we're gonna just conclude. Again, we generate every 5 years, we generate projections from 2030 to 2050, 2030, 2035, and so on and so forth through 2050. 2020 is our base year. We use BEBR, for those of you not familiar. BEBR is the Bureau of Economic and Business Research out of the University of Florida. They are the official estimator and forecaster for the state. So we take their countywide projection and we then distribute them locally, because that's the projections that we need. When you call us or clients call us, they want to know what's happening in my zip code, what's happening in my neighborhood, and that's what we do. So again, we use localized historical trends. We go talk to a wealth of knowledge from our local planners inside the agency, and also jurisdictional planners. We went to talk to them. And again, why do we have these projections? Why do we make all these people mad? It's because they're one of the most requested products that we have, and they feed into all sorts of projects that we have, whether it's comprehensive plans, whether it is transportation plans, and also, again, just day-to-day questions that we answer. So the beginning is always the best place to start. So we start with just a little background for those of you that may not be familiar with this. We are the largest county in the it's called Tampa Bay region. It's an 8-county region: Citrus, Hernando, Hillsborough, Manatee, Pasco, Pinellas, Polk, and Sarasota. We are expected to or projected to bring the lion's share of new residents. 1 out of every 3 new residents will come to Hillsborough County. We are, however, 4th in terms of growth. So we have Manatee, Pasco, and Polk leading the charge in terms of 1, 2, and 3, and then we come. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So again, we bring in the largest, chunk of residents, and we're going to be around 2 million residents. Now, one other thing to keep in mind on this slide: the Imperial Polk County is going to be 1 million residents by 2050 expected. So that will be a first for them. And Pinellas County, you see, Pinellas is one of the hardest counties to forecast, given the development that occurs there and the dynamics that operate there. They don't have a lot of, vacant land, so that's hardest. So you can see they kind of hovering around 1 million, but we do see a lot of development in St. Pete and other areas. So it's one of those things. Keep an eye on that. Now, one question that, have kind of percolated, okay, yeah, we use BEBR or BEBR projections here. What's been happening to those projections over time? They're 4% down for us. From 2017 to 2023, we're looking at the data, they're 4% down. When this question came up during one of your meetings, okay, so, when we presented an earlier version of these projections, just to highlight, and we went back and looked at it, we were also surprised, so we called BEBR. And they said, it's because the number of people that are moving here, they claim, are going to be people beyond their childbearing years. So there will be more retirees coming in. Now, being an economist, one of the things that also lawyers, that when you hire them is that our assumptions are fabulous, but yours need to be interrogated. So for BEBR, we're going to go back and look at their data, and we're doing exactly that. What are they saying about these age cohorts? What is it going to look like 2040? Are we really going to be much older than we're now? We're looking at that, and we're going to be reporting. Not in this presentation per se, but again, this is something that we're looking at. No concern, we're just looking at it just to learn about it. And we're looking at what the age cohorts are going to say, just to give you a heads up on that. So to give you an overview of the process. So again, every 5 years we come to you. This time, for the first time in a while, we've developed the projections internally. Again, I've been doing this for 20 years, so far be it from me to be critical of consulting work. We work with, at least me, I work with the, 20 top 20 consultants, top flight consultants across the state. But this time we did it internally. Why is that perhaps a little better in this case? We are able to pivot and change, and we're able to accommodate all sorts of assumptions and do all sorts of runs at no additional cost. So that's helpful. And also you have internal staff also deeply understanding how these projections came about. Sometimes it doesn't happen when you bring outside help. But again, as you will see some of the projects and you see a lot of consulting contracts that come through, consultants do bring special tools, they bring deep knowledge, and also the independent voice, so that's necessary. So, but again, in this case, we internalize this work, and again, this work is, not only we did 2050 projections, but we had a request from a fellow department. They wanted another year to be run, and we were able to do that again without increasing cost. So the first thing, we do the initial base projections. Then we had our internal planners, again, people that come to you every month, people that work here every day, that are dealing with these projects, give us feedback. Then we did have a new draft. With that new draft, we went to the jurisdictions to give them a say. And they took their time. And again, remember, some of these jurisdictions that we've seen are growing very fast, and those plans are very busy. So we really thank them for taking a little time to give us the feedback that we needed. And the draft that you're going to see today, or the numbers that you're going to see today, benefited, again, from land use planners internally commenting, and then jurisdictional feedback as well. So after this report today, we're just going to publish these projections online. And again, this is going to generate a lot of interest in terms of, like, we're going to do a few articles, here and there, and having a few talks, and of course some special tabulations for our transportation team, for this other team, et cetera, et cetera. So again, couple things. You start with a base scenario, just historical rates grown by TAS is a traffic analysis zone. Imagine 4 or 5 city blocks. That's the kind of the size when in urban, can get larger in the rural areas. We take those historical rates and then we compare them to the recommendations, and we modify them accordingly, and that's what the planning scenario does. When you do forecasting, especially population forecasting, you want to know build out. So we have a build out estimate that's independent of the 2050. So the first thing is that. And then remember, BEBR has a county-wide number, and when I get a call from my zip code, I get a call from my census tract, I get a call from my blood group. So that's why we decide to, distribute that amongst the smaller geographies, and then some of them will phase out early because they're growing too fast and they don't have a lot to build out, and some of them are growing slower. So that's what we have. And at the end, when you're doing all the, all the little, moving all the pieces, you get a county-wide number that is very close to what's called Beaver median, which we're going to show in the next slide. And again, when everything is said and done, when all the feedback's received, when all the ships are down, all the cars are face up, you're getting a 2 million people by 2050. Just slightly, around 2% higher than BEBR, around 1.976. Now, this is just a visual aid. This just tells you, at a glance, very quickly, the dark spots, the dark purple means that there are more new residents coming in per acre coming in the area. So again, just a visual aid trying to see what are the so-called hotspots for growth. And as you can see, some of them along Southern Plant City, some of them Northeast Plant City there. Downtown also is really glowing, and Brandon in that area. So you can see that's going. And again, just a visual aid. Now, this is where I actually get into the nitty-gritty of numbers. And again, some of the numbers here could be quite large, but we're going to contextualize them as well. So again, 89% for Plant City. Again, these numbers have been reviewed by planners, so this is something that is a collaborative and collegial effort. So, but overall for the county, 36% higher growth, around 500,000 more people by 2050. Now, these are the actual projections for, people, around 2 million, and jobs, which we're going to dive more deeply into, around 1.4 million jobs. So again, 2 million people, 1.4 million jobs by 2050. So again, similar, it's a heat map, similar density, kernel density map. These are people per acre, and we're having, notice how the jobs are very faithful to corridors. Del Mabry, you see 275, you see the Selma Expressway. So you see all those places that come really pop at you. And of course, when you go into Plant City as well, you see in those hot areas there, some of the central Plant City where you see a lot of more jobs, and some going south, really straight line there. Again, Plant City will double the number of jobs. And again, the city, as you may know, is actually, this is what the city wants. They are engaging in per discussion with them, they're targeting jobs, similar to Temple Terrace. They're targeting jobs to come to their jurisdiction in order to do more balance, grow more balance in terms of like people and jobs. And again, most of the jobs, though, are going to be going in terms of like to Tampa and unincorporated Hillsborough. So Tampa is going to continue to be a magnet for jobs through 2050. So we saw some huge numbers for Plant City, 92%, 105%. But when you're looking at it on a county-wide basis, they're attracting 7% of total new growth and 8% of total new jobs. So again, really not, for them specifically, it's a huge percentages, but when you're looking at a county-wide growth, it's really not that significant in terms of like, the overall picture. But it's something to keep in mind. This is set to contextualize. So again, we're going from 1.47 million people right now to around 2.01 million people, so around 500,000 or plus persons, through 2050. And jobs, we're looking at just shy of 1 million to over nearly 1.4 million. So again, around 400,000 jobs through 2050. Now, this question comes up all the time. We have a goal. 80% of new growth should be directed to urban service area, and we are going to fall slightly short of that by 2030, and we're going to fall a little farther through 2050. Now, again, assumptions are important. What is it that you assume? This, the urban service area that this graph represents is defined as the following: the city of Tampa and whatever, the city of Tampa and whatever they serve water as well, Hillsborough County utility service areas, and the city of Plant City. If you were to define this by including those areas that are just outside Plant City's boundary, but that they're planning to serve water too, then this number jumps to 83%. So again, depending how you want to define the urban service area, but the way that we traditionally define it, we're going to come up short at 73. But a lot of those people that are falling are going to be moving around Plant City, and you've seen those heat maps. You remember the southern and northern Plant City heat maps. So to conclude, again, we've done this effort internally. We have historical growth rates driving growth rate, but at the same time, this being tempered and modified based on planner assumptions, either whether agency planners or jurisdictional planners. When it's all said and done, all the chips are down, just 2% higher than BEBR medium, which is again 1.97. So we're coming out on 2 million, and again by 2050, 2 million people, 1.4 million jobs. 73% of the new residents moving to the urban service area, but again, that's as defined as we told you traditionally. And the next step again is just publication. We have the draft sites ready. We just need to, go live with some of them, and have a little more, tidy up a few things. But and some special tabulations, like when they're going to run the transportation model, they're going to need special tabulation, and we're going to work on that. But that's essentially it. And again, it will not be. What we tell everybody is that we are. It's a blessing and also not such a blessing to be such a fast-growing county. So you're gonna miss some things, but that's why we come back every 5 years. Because that way you make a call, and then if we miss something, we'll pick it up very soon. So, and because we've done the effort internally, if something were to happen that was like a black swan event of some sort, we could do a quickly and efficiently pivot and develop numbers just to address that specifically. Because again, the model is in-house and the expertise is in-house. Any other questions?
Thank you. That was very informative. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion items from the commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Handy.
Thank you. Yes, very, very interesting. I had a conversation just this morning with one of my neighbors out in Waimama, and I don't think they would call any of this a blessing. Okay. And I'm interested to see a couple of things here. If the goal is to direct 80% of the new population into the urban service area, then why not just draw the line and not allow, I understand what you're saying about Plant City, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the other rural parts of the county, then I say we maintain that rural boundary and make sure that growth is directed where it needs to go instead of letting that slide through. And some of the reasons for that are obvious when you look at what's happened in South County, and also by that map that shows the employment centers. Clearly, the urban sprawl that we're getting, and you even look into Pasco County or Manatee County, like examples like Parrish, and it's the same. You're not creating jobs, you're creating commuters. And you're not creating employment centers, because people in Pasco County are still driving to Tampa, for example. People in South County are still driving to Tampa. We're not creating jobs, we're creating commuter communities. And the other thing, just to point out, with those examples, we are diluting the funds for infrastructure when we are focused too much on growth because, for example, the water problems in South County, not to mention the traffic problems, those are really obvious. But when you think about communities like Carrollwood that still is not on sewer, still on septic, Gibsonton, Brandon, still on septic systems, it's because the funding, our tax base is so diluted to account for infrastructure in all of these urban growth areas that we can't stay caught up. And I think that current and future planning efforts need to look very, very seriously on those issues. So coming from being the rural representative, I just wanted to point all of that out, but thank you for the information.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Handy. Larry, did you?
If I could just add that, because I agree absolutely with what you're saying about trying to continue to focus the growth in the urban service area. The numbers that Yassert presented do not assume any change to the urban service area. All of that growth in the rural area is occurring at the rural densities that are allowed on the plan today. Yes. Now, many of those areas are designated 1 unit per acre. I would not necessarily normally call that rural. The plan says that rural should be 1 unit per 5 acres or lower, but there's quite a bit of area around Thanona, Sassa, and Plant City, kind of in between those areas, that is currently designated 1 unit per acre. So what this is an indicator to me is that the urban service area, whether it's because it's filling up or we're not doing as good a job as we could of incentivizing the infill and redevelopment that we want, is we're starting to eat away at the rural land for very low density development, 1 unit per 5 acre, 1 unit per acre development. And that means we might not have as many opportunities for agriculture or other things. So it is an indicator that I think we need to look at that closely in the update of the county's future land use element, which is coming in the coming months, to try to identify what we can do in the urban service area to better incentivize that, better use that infrastructure, but also look at, okay, if there's a lot of that growth happening around Plant City, which Yassert identified, could we plan for it to occur in a better way than 1 unit per acre? Could we make, because that's probably our most inefficient development pattern that we could have. There's a lot of services that go into serving 1 unit per acre, even though they're not usually on water and sewer. It's a lot of septic tanks then. Is that the best thing environmentally? Like, I think we need to kind of look at, are some of those areas, would they be better served by being annexed into Plant City? Yes. And developed at 4 units per acre and clustered to preserve some of the agriculture and natural features. I think there's just an opportunity that this is highlighting for us in our upcoming planning. So, yeah, I appreciate your comments.
If it pleases the chair. Another reason we did that's part of the feedback that we got from the land use planners, to assume annexations and the increases to the next higher level in terms of R1 Hillsborough goes to Plant City R4. and so on and so forth. So for those areas that you see around Plant City there, most of it went to the Plant City, the next level, higher use for Plant City. So it is one of those things. And again, no assumptions were made in terms of relaxing the USA boundaries. It's just, whatever was there, that's what we ran. And the key assumption that was made in terms of drawing the line was we looked at historical growth in the rural service area, and we said they cannot continue with that growth because it is too much and it's going to run into issues. So they had a lower growth than what historically has been there at the task level. So that's a key assumption that we made. So we bumped it up around places where we thought Plant City said it's going to pivot, the curve is going to shift. So we moved with them with their shift. And then in other areas where we like Lutz and those places, and we say no way they will be able to continue with that growth because, again, although 2015 to 2020 was hard for them, perhaps they will not be able to without bringing in a significant number of infrastructure there. So it is just that a lot of people are coming in. Again, 1 out of 3 people are coming in to the of the region are coming in here. So it's they will, some of them will end up in the rural service area. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that, and thank you for pointing that out, Melissa. That is helpful. So, and I think what you're talking about is similar to like the WVR2 that happened in Waimama. That used to be 1 per 5 acres, for example.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Cardenas.
Yeah, I think I was listening to what you were saying, and I think one of the things that we do here is we manage growth. I don't think we promote growth to a certain extent. I think we react to what is asked of us. So I think that's something that we should be conscious of because, part of my reasoning of wanting to be on this board was I come from a big city. I've seen what not good growth looks like, and I said, well, what can I do to try to do that in a better way? It's funny. I was talking to somebody the other day with just a client, and they were talking about how there's so much more traffic now. There's so much more stuff going on, and the thing is it's hard to not talk about loving where you live. And everybody that I know of that lives here talks about how much they love where they live. And she was saying that to her husband. She was saying, "Stop telling people how much you live here." And when you look at the news or you look at different things, we just live in a great place, and that's why people are coming. It's not because we're promoting it. It's not because we're trying to make it happen. It's just because it's naturally happening.
And if it pleases the chair once again to address the commissioners, to add to your comments. They may have not underlined it, but these are adopted densities that we're using. So whether it's as an assumed adopted density or the actual density there. So again, this is something that because of the granularity of this product, you're going to be able to look at as we go into updating comprehensive plans, whether was that the right call? Is that what we really want to do? As opposed to when you go into larger chunks, and then it may not be as clear whether a decision made by this body or by the county commissioner affects. Now you will see a direct line between that decision and what the forecast says. This because of the way the product is set up. Yes.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Fernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is sort of why I'm always for high-rise buildings. 800,000 people. We are at 1.2 million, right? Am I about right with those numbers? So we're almost, in my, that's basically doubling our population. And I know the BEBR data very well. And I don't mean to scare you, but if you look at the map, everything along 579, they've got thousands and thousands of people predicted for that area. So, and I can't agree with you more. Like, that means, they're looking at, I think, put a bridge down 301, a Gandhi-style elevated Sun Pass bridge. This is our opportunity to manage the growth. I don't know where we're going to find space for 300,000 single-family homes in our area, inside the urban service area especially, and I know there's talks of expanding that. I would just say I'm against that. What's the point of an urban service area if we just keep pushing it out further and further into the rural lands? Doesn't make sense to me, so that's all I got.
Thank you, Commissioner Fernandez. Commissioner Lau.
Urban service areas and growth rings in and of themselves are dubious policy at best. So if you go back and you look at the city of Portland and what it incorporated in 1979, and the results of what happened there, I think there are lessons for us to learn as we talk about the urban service center and things like that. So following the implementation of that growth ring, housing grew at 90% above the national average in Portland. And what they've seen as an effect of that growth ring is they're seeing people drive further and further away, and the commute times are going up to get into the city where the jobs still are. So, for an example, right now, we would say people would commute from Plant City. We implement a growth ring, a hard and fast growth ring, above and beyond what we're doing today. People are going to push to Lakeland. People are going to push to Citrus County, and their commutes will become longer. So the key really is smart growth, some of the things that we're already doing, right? High-rise buildings. So when we come in and we look at some of our high-rise buildings, some of us are for them, some of us are not, some of them take it one at a time, whatever that is. Regardless of what's lying underneath, we have to take a look at the high-rises as a means, low-density growth in the rural areas when it's appropriate, probably more often than not, so we're not taking away property rights from people. But it's not just putting a growth ring around the city. And again, the results I've seen city, metro after metro that have implemented these growth rings, they don't work. So we need to attack it in a different, possibly smarter way.
And again, this product allows you to give that granularity that you can say, is this, you can do what ifs, you can do simulations. So this is something that we're looking forward to, like, really playing around with the numbers once we get to publish them. Yes.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Handy.
Yeah, I agree with all of this smart growth. I mean, absolutely, especially what Melissa said, if we could direct the not 1 unit per, or 1 unit per acre or per 5 acres, because that is not smart growth. But I think we need to keep in mind that what the existing citizens, I talked to 2 different people in South County this morning, and they talking about the growth, and oh, it's coming, because we hear it here, we hear it from the presenters that say, the growth is coming, the people are coming, we got to figure out where to put them. And my neighbors say, not my problem. They say, well, what about those of us that are here? Why are our county representatives more concerned about those new people coming in than they are about us, the existing residents, and the services and the congestion and the traffic? They need to be taking care of us. So hopefully smart growth will take care of all of that. But I think we need to be very, very cognizant of that sentiment because it's true.
Thank you, Commissioner Handy. Are there any more comments from the commissioners or discussions? Obviously, we're not taking action on any of this. It's just a briefing for now. So, all right, well, seeing none, we will thank you for the information, sir, and move on to our next item of business. It is 3B, TACPA 23-01, Comprehensive Plan Text Amendment, Mobility Section, and the presenter is Katrina Corcoran.
Good afternoon, Planning Commissioners. It's hard to follow Yasser, but I will do my best. Katrina Corcoran, Planning Commission staff. I'm here today to present on the Tampa Comprehensive Plan update. This is specifically TACPA 2301, and this is the mobility section update. So this slide shows you the schedule that we have. Currently, we're in the May cycle. Today, you will be seeing not only mobility, but the environmental and sustainability sections, which are in this plan amendment cycle. Looking forward, in February 2024, we will have future land use, housing, and coastal initiated in that cycle. And then future cycles later in 2024 include rec and open space, solid waste, capital improvements, and intergovernmental coordination. You'll notice the colors here that are coordinating the different chapters that these sections are a part of. So some background on the mobility section. It's a portion of the places area in the City of Tampa Comprehensive Plan currently. The current goals include land and transportation system coordination, walk and bike network, transit, neighborhood livability, and safe, convenient, and efficient roadway. The new section updates and modernizes mobility-related language and provides a framework for mobility-related initiatives. We have 5 new proposed goals, including providing multimodal options, economic opportunity, sustainability, resilience and health, equity, and safety. There are new policies proposed to most topic areas. However, some notable topic areas include context classification. Context classification considers the use of the land surrounding a road. So for example, a road surrounded by large natural areas may be considered rural for its context, or C1. In contrast, a road in downtown Tampa would be urban, which would be C6. We also looked at development's impacts on the transportation system. So many of the policies support development, including multimodal improvements wherever possible and feasible, for example, sidewalks, bicycle facilities, etc. We also looked at parking and curb space management policies. These policies direct the implementation of parking and curb space standards that reserve curb space for the highest and best use. This includes reducing parking by transit, parking that facilitates safe and convenient walking to buildings, etc. We have policies on emerging technologies. So these support the city reviewing new technologies and strategies, such as autonomous, connected, and electric vehicles, enhanced traffic systems, and coordination with companies such as Uber and Lyft. We also have policies related to transportation investments that improve resilience and health. So these policies encourage evaluation of roadway impacts to the environment, neighborhoods, and commercial areas, as well as a focus on health improvements of transportation projects. We have policies on the equitable transportation project development and prioritization, which I realize is a mouthful, but essentially this encourages the completion of critical walk and bike connections in underserved communities, considering negative impacts of certain transportation projects to underserved communities, and reviewing certain socio-demographic and equity factors during project development and design. Finally, we have a focus on Vision Zero and a safe systems approach. So these policies coordinate with the city's Vision Zero action plan. And Vision Zero aims to eliminate all severe injuries and fatalities on our roadways. A safe systems approach focuses on both human mistakes and human vulnerability and designs a system with many redundancies to protect everyone. In addition to those notable topic updates, we also looked at language and language that is better suited to other sections is proposed to be moved. We removed regulatory and programmatic language. We also streamlined the language and removed duplication wherever possible. So looking back, but also looking forward, you'll see that we had public engagement meetings in early June. So June 5th, we had an in-person meeting. June 6th, we had a virtual public meeting. We also had a public comment available on our project page that just ended last Friday. Today, we're with you with the Planning Commission briefing. We'll be back in August with the Planning Commission public hearing, followed by a transmittal hearing with Tampa City Council. Again, as I mentioned, our project page has been active since May. You're able to review the draft language, see what's new versus existing, and other supporting documentation. So that is planhillsborough.org/Tampa Mobility. You can also find it on our website, on the new website with the plans and studies, and then if you go to the Planning Commission. And again, input and feedback, that comment period ran through July 7th, but my contact information is on the project page, so if anyone has any further questions, they're certainly welcome to reach out to me. I also wanted to point out with the new and existing language that we have what we call crosswalks that show the specific movement of policies, whether it's being moved. It was minorly updated, substantially updated, proposed to be deleted, and the reasoning. The points of contact for the City of Tampa Plan Update Mobility section include myself and Gina Torres, who is our Assistant Director of the TPO. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions that you may have on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments, discussion items from the commissioners at this point in time? Not seeing any. Well, thank you for the, Mrs. Ornita.
Sure, if I could just add that we had quite a close collaboration with the City of Tampa, and I understand that next week they will be unveiling their MOVES transportation plan, which aligns directly with the 5 goals of the comp plan element on purpose to be able to show the synergy between the plan and then their implementation programs. So we're really pleased with that and appreciate Katrina's hard work on it.
I did have one quick request for you, Katrina. I wanted to get emailed on, you mentioned equity factors that they're using down there. Shoot me an email on that. I'm kind of intrigued by hearing that, so we'll talk. Are there any other comments or questions from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this time. Well, thank you for the information. Move on to our next item. Item number 3C, TACPA 23-03, Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, 7400 Interbay Boulevard, and the presenter is Sam Thomas.
Good evening, Commissioners. Sam Thomas with your Planning Commission staff. This is a briefing for TACPA 2303, 7400 Inner Bay Boulevard. Some background on this: it is privately initiated, small scale in size, approximately 18.32 acres, and the request is to go from light industrial to community mixed use 35. Here is the site on our general locator map down here in South Tampa. It's in the Gandy Sun Bay South neighborhood, and it's also within the coastal high hazard area, and a portion of the site is within the MacDill Air Force clear zone, and that's a portion of the area around MacDill Air Force Base where no construction is allowed. Here is the site on our aerial map. It's highlighted in yellow and outlined in red. You can see it's to the south of Inner Bay Boulevard and just to the north of North Boundary Boulevard on MacDill Air Force Base. It's down here by Del Mabry Highway to the east. And then as you go to the west, you have the Port Tampa City neighborhood, and where you have Old Port Tampa Bay by that neighborhood. This is a view of the site looking north towards Inner Bay Boulevard. There's a road that comes down into the site, so this is kind of directly in the middle of the site. And up here to the north is Inner Bay Boulevard, where you can see some of the apartments along there. And this is looking west on Inner Bay Boulevard. You can see the site here on the left. And then some old industrial uses here, and then some new apartments that have popped up along Inner Bay Boulevard. Here is a site recognized under the light industrial future land use designation. You can see to the south you have the public semi-public for MacDill Air Force Base. To the east you have the community mixed use 35 designation. To the west you have the residential 10 designation, and then to the north you have residential 35, and then the TU 24 transitional use category over here to the west as well. And this is the proposed future land use of community mixed use 35, and you can see that there. So the impacts of this request: currently dwelling units are not permitted in the light industrial future land use designation, but around 1.2 million square feet of non-residential uses can be considered. With the change to the community mixed use 35 designation, you could be considered for 641 dwelling units, or just under 1.6 million square feet of non-residential uses or mixed use development. It would increase the non-residential intensity from a 1.5 FAR to a 2.0 FAR, and would introduce the consideration of multifamily uses. And because this is in South Tampa Planning District, single-use FAR projects cannot be considered, only mixed use. And that concludes my presentation. Any questions?
All right, thank you. Were there any questions or comments, discussion items from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this. Oh, Commissioner Handy. Sorry.
Thank you. I have a question for maybe Melissa and staff, because I've been doing a little bit of digging on the coastal high hazard areas, and after our last conversation about urban infill, not that I would be opposed to such things, but the concerns with insurance, property insurance, and flood insurance. And I haven't gotten very far in my digging, so that's where maybe you guys can help. Something about the insurance companies provide a grading system for communities, and the higher density that is allowed within the coastal high hazard area, the lower grade communities receive from insurance companies or insurance organizations, maybe, I don't know, professional organizations that insurance companies belong to. I didn't get a whole lot further than that. But I think, you know, we have a lot of back and forth about the high density in the coastal high hazard area and whether it's consistent for a variety of reasons. But given the existing issue with property insurance and certainly flood insurance in the state, it might be worth looking into.
So there is a community rating system. I'm not sure how much, but Diego's here, and if he would like to, you know, add anything to this, I'm not sure how much us increasing the density in the coastal hazard area impacts that, but I'll let Diego.
It doesn't, actually. The CRS isn't dependent on the amount of, it is not dependent on the population in the CHHA. It's dependent on the programs the jurisdiction has implemented to address mitigation within the CHHA. So, I'm sorry, I was in the bathroom. What jurisdiction are we discussing?
We're talking about Tampa, and the question was whether or not the increases in density you make sure I get this right, in the coastal high hazard area, impact the community rating system that then impacts like the insurance rates?
So the
Yeah.
population increase does not impact the CRS. However, the mitigation programs the city implements does impact the CRS. So currently, I believe City of Tampa scores a 3 out of 5. So that relates to a blanket percentage deducted from a homeowner's home property insurance. All jurisdictions work to get up to a 5, but it's all dependent on the amount of mitigation programs that they're able to implement that directly affects that CRS and ultimately affects the deduction taken from the homeowner's insurance.
Got it. Okay, thank you for explaining that. And what mitigation measures would count toward a better grade?
So some of those mitigation measures is, for example, a developer. Developers are encouraged to build above the freeboard standard, which is 1 foot freeboard. So developers that develop 2, 3, 4 feet above freeboard, that helps. If the city has policies that encourage that, that's taken into effect. It goes more into some other mitigation work, like are they using living shorelines? Are they allowing, are they improving stormwater facilities in the coastal area to minimize the amount of flooding that may occur post-storm, if you will, to essentially take that flood water away quicker, those type of mitigation.
And does that apply to both the property insurance and the flood insurance programs?
So the flood insurance program is the national program that dictates the homeowner's insurance. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Fernandez.
Thank you. One of the other aspects that go into the community rating system, one of the big factors is open space, percentage or acres within your jurisdiction. And so these are sort of some lessons we should take. I'm not sure if you guys remember a piece of property down near Waimama that the SwiftMed had sold off, and it was open space, and it ended up going into light industrial. So that's, something where we should be learning. We have all this acreage. I mean, I think it was like 8 acres, but every square inch counts. We have 8 acres of open space, and we let that go. Now, that's hurting the communities of that part of the county because you're losing that open space. And just last month, we were talking about a property that was 80% in a flood zone. Well, we developed that as unincorporated Hillsborough County. You've lost that open space because private land counts too, but you've also now made it impervious. So impervious surface is also an aspect to that, where counties will look at that kind of acreage as well. And so I've done a few barrier island analysis where even beach parking lots don't count as pervious because they are so compacted. So it's a lot of things go into that community rating system, and it's a lesson for all of us to take a look at, because you're right, the insurance is going to be going through the roof, and we can maybe help that in some ways.
Thank you, Commissioner Fernandez. Any more comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Cardenas?
I sell homes, so I deal with insurance like it's annoying. But it's really interesting because, for one, you get, I get clients that come to me all the time, and they get this rate that they get quoted that's really high, and so much of it is shopping. Like, I've had my clients shop rates with 5, 6 different people, and then finally they find somebody who gives them something that's 30% less, 40% less. So it is out there. It just takes a lot of work to find it. But the laws are consistently changing, or what the insurance companies are doing are consistently changing. The funny thing is, I tell people I can't, if you're not in that industry, it's really hard to figure it out. Find somebody who's really good in that industry that takes the time to figure it out, and it's a lot easier.
Thank you. All right. Any other comments from the commissioners on this one? Not seeing any. Then we'll thank you for the information and move on to our next agenda item. 3D, TACPA 23-07, Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, 307 Northwestland Avenue, and 2109, 2111, or 2111, 2113 West North B Street, and the presenter is Danny Collins.
Good afternoon. This is Danny Collins with your Planning Commission staff. I'll be presenting on behalf of David Hay. This is TACPA 2307. It's for the properties located at 307 North Westland Avenue and 2109, 2111, and 2113 West North B Street. Just a quick background, this is a privately initiated amendment. It's small scale in size. The subject site's approximately 0.63 acres. And actually last week, we received confirmation from the applicant to actually reduce the request, to modify the request down from the community mixed use 35 designation to the neighborhood mixed use 35 designation. And we were not able to update the packets in time. So this change will be for the neighborhood mixed use 35 designation. The subject site is located in the Central Tampa Planning District. It's within the West Tampa Urban Village, and more specifically, it's in the North Hyde Park neighborhood. It is shown here on our locational map. Here is an area of the subject site and the surrounding properties. The subject site is outlined in this yellow color. To the east of the subject site are single-family detached uses with scattered duplexes and vacant lots. To the north and south of the site are a mix of single-family detached, attached, and multifamily dwelling units with several scattered vacant lots. Kennedy Boulevard is to the south of the subject site. To the west of the site is a scattered pattern of residential uses with light commercial and office uses along North Howard Avenue, which is shown here. This is an image looking east toward the subject site from North Westland Avenue. This is an image looking north toward 2109 and 2111 North B Street. This is another image looking north toward 2111 and 2113 North B Street. And here is the adopted future land use map. You'll see the subject site. It's recognized under the residential 20 future land use designation. That designation allows residential development up to 20 dwelling units per acre. The R20 designation is to the north, east, and south of the subject site. Directly to the west of the subject site, along Howard Avenue, you see parcels that are recognized under the Community Mixed Use 35 designation, which encourages a mixed-use development pattern up to 35 dwelling units per acre, or up to a 2.0 FAR. As you move south on Westland Avenue towards Kennedy Boulevard, there are parcels recognized under the Urban Mixed Use 60 designation. Here is the proposed future land use map. Again, this map is showing the change to the CMU 35 designation. When you see this again in August, you'll see a modified proposed future land use map showing the neighborhood mixed use 35 designation. Here is a slide showing the potential impacts of the proposed change. Under the R20 designation, the subject site can be considered for 12 dwelling units or just over 13,776 square feet of non-residential development. That would be subject to commercial locational criteria. As proposed under the neighborhood mixed use 35 designation, the subject site can be considered for 22 dwelling units or just over 41,000 square feet of residential or non-residential uses. Again, this figure of the 55,104 is reflective of the CMU 35, so that number will be reduced under the neighborhood mixed use 35 designation. The proposed amendment would introduce the potential of limited commercial general uses on the subject site, and as well as would increase the residential intensity on the subject site. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments, discussion items from the commissioners? Not seeing any lights at this time. We will thank you for the information. Move on to our next agenda item, 3E, TACPA 23-08, Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, West Columbus Drive, and the presenter is Sam Thomas.
Sam Thomas with your Planning Commission staff. This is TACPA 2308, located on West Columbus Drive. It is just to the west of the intersection of North Boulevard and West Columbus Drive. It is privately initiated, small scale in size, approximately 0.36 acres, and the request is to go from residential 20 to community mixed use 35. Here is the site on our general locator slide. It's within the Central Tampa Planning District, the Ridgewood Park neighborhood. And it is on West Columbus Drive, which is a transit emphasis corridor. Here is the site on our aerial map. It's highlighted in yellow and then outlined in red. As you can see, it's just past the intersection of North Boulevard and West Columbus Drive, and just to the north of West Amelia Avenue. This section over here, west of North Boulevard, is the Ridgewood Park neighborhood, which is mainly single-family detached. When you go north of West Columbus Drive, it's the Riverside Heights neighborhood, which is also single-family detached largely. On the east side of North Boulevard, though, you have the Tampa Heights neighborhood and Tampa Heights Urban Village, where you have more of a mix of the single-family attached, multifamily, and single-family homes. And then if you go about 4 blocks south of here, you have the Heights development where Armature Works is. This is looking north from the subject site and one of the alleys that runs next to it, and this is Columbus Drive right here. And this is looking west from the subject site. This is actually another alley on the other side of the site. So you're looking west at the site, and this is Columbus Drive right here. So here is a site on the adopted future land use map. This may look familiar to some of you all. It came before, I think, the Planning Commission back in 2021, where the site was changed from residential 10 to residential 20. The area around it as community mixed use found along West Columbus Drive. Then as you drop south of West Columbus Drive and the Tampa Heights neighborhood, you have the residential 35. It does cross over North Boulevard with here, which was a recent plan amendment back in 2022. And then when you go over on the other side of North Boulevard, you see that transition to the residential 10 to the north and south of West Columbus Drive. You do have Phillips Park right here recognized under the recreational open space, and then the green line here is the coastal high hazard area. And here is a site recognized under the proposed land use, the community mixed use 35. The impacts of this request, currently with the residential 20 future land use designation, you can be considered for 7 dwelling units or a little under 8,000 square feet of non-residential uses. With the community mixed use 35 designation, you could be considered for up to 12 dwelling units or around 31,000 square feet of residential or non-residential uses. So the request would introduce the consideration of commercial general uses, and it would result in higher residential density and commercial intensity on the site. That concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or discussion items from the commissioners? Not seeing any lights, then we'll thank you for the information. Move on to our next item. 3F, TACPA 23-09, Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, 8300 North Albany Avenue and 2109 West Juneau Street. The presenter is Sam Thomas again.
Forgot the order. Alrighty. This is TACPA 2309, located at 8300 North Albany Avenue and 2109 West Juneau Street. The request is privately initiated and it's small scale. It's approximately 0.66 acres, and the request is to go from residential 10 to community commercial 35. Here is the site on our general locator map. It's within the University Planning District and the Armenia Gardens neighborhood. Here's an aerial view of the subject site. You can see Waters Avenue to the north of the site, and then Albany Avenue here to the east of the site. Juneau Street and Albany Avenue kind of curve into each other right here. And then you have a TECO substation to the south of it. On the east side of Albany Avenue, you have single-family detached neighborhood. Right about here, there's kind of an invisible line here where the community mixed use 35 is, where you have some of those commercial intensive uses up along West Waters Avenue, and then it transitions to single-family detached south of there, and then south of the TECO power station. North of Waters Avenue, you can kind of get a glimpse of some of those multifamily apartments to the north of the site, or north of Waters Avenue. This is looking north at the subject site from West Juneau Street. Up here is West Waters Avenue. And this is looking west on West Juneau Street, and your subject site is right here. Here is the adopted future land use map. You can see the subject site recognized under the residential 10 designation. To the north, you have the community mixed use 35 that's found along Armenia Avenue and West Waters Avenue. And then as you go to the east of West Waters Avenue, it transitions to community mixed use 35. To the south, residential 10, and then to the north of Waters Avenue, past that community mixed use 35, you have residential 10 as well. And if you go past Armenia Avenue, it drops right into Hillsborough County. And here's a site recognized underneath the proposed land use, the community commercial 35. So the impacts of this request, currently under the residential 10, you can be considered for 6 dwelling units or a little over 10,000 square feet of non-residential uses. With this change, you could be considered for 23 dwelling units or around 57,000 square feet of residential or non-residential uses. The request would introduce commercial intensive and commercial general uses onto the site and introduce a higher residential density and higher commercial intensity. And that concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you. Were there any, I see you moving, questions or comments from the commissioners? Ms. Sornita maybe has something to say.
I just wanted to make a brief comment that this is, I think, Sam's last presentation for us. He has accepted a position with the City of Tampa. We're very sad to see him go. He's been a real asset to us and come on quickly as a Planner One, doing presentations in front of you all and doing a fabulous job for us. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and wish Sam the best in his new role. We look forward to continuing to work with him that way.
Congrats.
Thank you. I'll miss coming up here a lot. Hopefully I can come up as a citizen and do some public comment. Thank you.
Commissioner Locke?
I was going to say congratulations until I said that last part.
I'll try not to show up too much.
I was literally thinking during your presentation while you were speaking how many presentations you do up here. In the past, you know, since you've gotten here, I've noticed you come up to that podium and speak a lot for a lot of it. And I was literally just thinking, like, what are they just using Sam for every presentation now? So it's funny that you come on and say he's leaving. But congratulations again. All right, so we will move on to our next agenda item, which is 3G, TACPA 2310, Comprehensive Plan Text Amendment, CBD Periphery Bonus, Channel District, and the presenter is Danny Collins.
Danny Collins again with your Planning Commission staff. This is TACPA 2310. It's a text amendment to the comprehensive plan related to the CBD Periphery Bonus within the Channel District. Just a quick background, this is a privately initiated amendment and it seeks changes to the CBD periphery bonus only within the Channel District. Currently, in the comprehensive plan, projects within the CBD periphery are limited to 100% of the maximum density and intensity permitted within the applicable plan category. For example, if you have an RMU 100 parcel and you're within the CBD periphery, you're eligible up to 200 dwelling units per acre or up to a 7.0 FAR through the CBD periphery bonus. As proposed, projects specifically within the Channel District will be limited to 300% of the maximum density intensity permitted within the applicable plan category. If you have an RMU 100 designated parcel in the Channel District, you would be eligible for up to 300 dwelling units per acre or up to a 10.5 FAR through the CBD periphery bonus, again, specifically within the Channel District. In order to get that bonus, affordable housing must be provided as the bonus amenity. Here is just a flue map of the Channel District and kind of showing what land uses are within the Channel District. As you can see, a majority of the land within the Channel District is designated Regional Mixed Use 100. I believe it is approximately 88% of the land within the district is currently designated RMU 100. There are some remnants of heavy industrial pieces north of East Twig Street that have been coming in as plan amendments, and those are denoted by this dark gray color. Also, a majority of the districts within the coastal high hazard area, that's denoted by this green line here, and approximately over 80% of the land that is designated RMU 100 is within is within the coastal high hazard area. The district is immediately adjacent to the CBD, which is just west of Meridian. There is no cap on intensity and density within the CBD. So I just wanted to kind of show you the land uses within the district and some of the adjacent land uses to the district. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
All right, were there any questions, comments, or discussion items from the commissioners? Commissioner Fernandez.
Yeah, this just goes back to what I was saying earlier. 10.5 FAR, I just wish it was more. It would be a win-win, right? We'd have more housing stacked on top of each other, and if we have affordable housing by percentage, we'd have more affordable housing. So it'd be great just to see, I think you said there's no cap at the CBD?
Within the CBD land use, These, the project, this would only apply to the Channel District where there is not a CBD land use. It's only RMU 100 and heavy industrial where this amendment would apply.
Okay, yeah, just love to see it get higher.
Thank you, Commissioner Fernandez. Are there any other questions, comments, discussion items from the commissioners? Not seeing any, we'll thank you for the information, and we will move on to our next agenda item, which is on the next page I have to turn. All right, 3H, TACPA 23-11, Comprehensive Plan Text Amendment, Environmental and Sustainability Section, and Diego Guerra is the presenter.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Diego Guerra, Planning Commission staff. Before I begin, I just want to go back to that CRS question. I misspoke a smidge. The actual classification ranges from 1 to 10, not 1 to 5. The city of Tampa is classified A5, which it receives insurance premiums within a flood zone receive a 25% discount. Those outside a flood zone receive a 10% discount, an additional 10% discount. And then Hillsborough County is also a 10, or I'm sorry, a 5.
Sorry, so a 25% discount if you're in the flood zone?
Yes, if you're in a flood zone, because the city of Tampa has a score of 5, you get a 25% discount, 25% discount off your flood insurance. The scoring goes by 500, so like, not 500, I'm sorry, 5%. So the highest score being a 1 gets a 45% discount, with the lowest score of 10 receiving a 0% discount on their premium flood insurance.
But did you say that outside the flood zone?
Receives 10 because they're not prone to a flood hazard. The firm, which is what's used to calculate flood insurance. If you're outside a flood zone, then there's no flood hazard associated with that property.
So you don't need the flood insurance?
Technically, no, but I am not a flood insurance professional in that respect. Okay. But just because you're out, I will say, just because you're outside a flood zone does not mean you're not prone to a flood. The firm does delineate the various flood zones, but it's just a line, a projected line. It doesn't mean that just because there's a line doesn't mean the water isn't going to go past that line.
Okay, well, thank you. And could you comment on what Commissioner Fernandez mentioned about?
I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. If you guys want to continue this, you can email about it. We're on to 3H, TACPA 2311. So you can spend as much time as you want, emailing back and forth and discussing this, but we're moving on.
Sure, thanks.
So again, this is TACPA 2311, the Environmental Sustainability Section update, which is proposed to replace the environmental section of the Tampa Comprehensive Plan. As pointed out earlier, this is a brief schedule of the proposed amendments to the City of Tampa's Comprehensive Plan sections that are planned to be upcoming. So the approach that we took to the update is very similar to that of the One Water chapter. The environmental sustainability section is part of the natural spaces chapter of the comprehensive plan, and it is proposed to stay there. We did work collaboratively with city staff in the review, refinement, and development of the language. We also coordinated with EPC staff to ensure that the language is consistent with their program areas. And we also coordinated with non-governmental organizations, such as the Sierra Club, and took their comments into consideration as well. The overall section does serve as a tool and supports the various city programs and objectives that address the environment within the city. So the proposed changes to the section include new alternative energy language, which supports the recently adopted Climate Action and Equity Plan. Although the Climate Action and Equity Plan is recently adopted, we did work with city staff throughout its drafting and development process to ensure that this section and other sections of the comprehensive plan also support that recently adopted plan. New language also includes wildlife corridor language and new urban forestry management language. Proposed moves or Tampa Bay estuary and coastal related language, we are proposing to be moved to the coastal management section as they are more appropriate and more appropriate in that section. Mobility related language proposed to be moved to mobility, and then land use specific language proposed to be moved to land use section. We did go ahead and streamline that overall, we streamlined the language. We removed duplication, regulatory, and programmatic language that existed in the section as well. The new section updates and modernizes the language and provides a framework, again, for environmental related initiatives that the city has. So the proposed topic, for the proposed section goals and topic areas or objective areas, we are proposing 3 goals. As you can see on the screen, each bullet below those goals is a objective series or a topic area. Goal 3 is the city's portion of the Hillsborough Rivers Master Plan. That language is also found in the overall Hillsborough River Master Plan. So those proposed changes will also occur in the Hillsborough River Master Plan as well. As you saw earlier, this is the schedule. We did have some public engagement previous to today, and then coming up in August, we'll have the proposed section will be brought to you again for transmittal consideration, or I'm sorry, consistency consideration, and then later that month to City of Tampa for transmittal consideration. Overall, the page became active 1 May. The project page became active 1 May for public comment. On that page, you're able to review the draft language, see new and existing, and compare and contrast that language. You're also able to see other supporting documentation, such as the City of Tampa's Climate and Equity Action Plan, the City of Tampa's Urban Forestry Management Plan, and the every 2-year City of Tampa's canopy assessment survey. So those other resources are also found on that page. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on this item from the commissioners? Not seeing any. Diego, I did want to get a note on that. You mentioned the climate action and equity plan that they're working on down there. If you could forward me a copy of that, I'm just kind of interested in the equity things going on in the city of Tampa.
Yes, sir.
So, all right, thanks. Anything else from the commissioners? Not seeing any. All right, well, thank you for the information, and move on to our next agenda item, 3I TACPA 23-12 Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment. Generally located at the southeast corner of the North Albany Avenue and West Kirby Street intersection. And the presenter is Katrina Corcoran.
Good afternoon again, Katrina Corcoran, Planning Commission staff. I'm here today to present TACPA 2312. Again, this is a Tampa Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, and I won't repeat that long title on that. This is privately initiated, small scale, approximately 0.05 acres, and the request is from residential 10 to residential 20. You can see the plan amendment here on the locator map. It is within the University Planning District and the Lowry Park Central neighborhood. The subject site is shown here in the small little yellow outline here in the middle of the graphic. It is just south of the intersection of North Albany Avenue and West Kirby Street, and primarily surrounded by single-family homes. This shows the subject site looking south toward the subject site from West Kirby Street. This is looking south toward North Albany Avenue with the subject site to the left. This is looking north toward North Albany Avenue from the subject site. And this shows the adopted future land use map. Again, the subject site is outlined by the plan amendment boundary, the dashed black line with residential 10. And this shows the switch to residential 20. The impacts, currently, you can't have any dwelling units on the site. It's not permitted. about 762 square feet of non-residential uses. With this change, there would be the option to have one dwelling unit or a little over 1,000 square feet of non-residential uses. So this change, the proposed amendment would allow for an increase in development potential by allowing higher residential density and greater commercial intensity on the subject site, again, subject to locational criteria. This concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
All right. Were there any comments, questions, or discussion items from commissioners? Not seeing any. Well, thank you for the information and move on to our next agenda item, 3J, TACPA 23-13 Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, 5025 East Fowler Avenue, and the presenter is Yanika Mills.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Yanika Mills, Planning Commission staff. I'm here to present TACPA 2313, located at 5025 East Fowler Avenue. This is a privately initiated plan amendment, small in scale, on approximately 2 acres. And the request is to change the future land use designation from residential 35 and community mixed use 35 to entirely community mixed use 35. The site is located within the University Planning District as well as the Terrace Park neighborhood. To give you some context of the area, Fowler Avenue is located along the northern boundary of the site. North 50th Street is to the west, North 52nd to the east of the site. Uses in the immediate vicinity, there's a church located here, as well as some light commercial uses, and then multifamily as well to the west. Along Fowler Avenue to the east, there are some light commercial uses as well as multifamily uses located here. Directly south of the site is an office building. Here's the subject site currently. That's the office building that's located directly south of the site. This is looking eastward toward 56th Street along Fowler Avenue. Currently, the site has 2 future land use designations, community mixed use 35, which is like the light pink, and then residential 35 at the southern portion of the site in the brown. Other future land use classifications in the immediate area include public, semi-public in the blue, heavy industrial in the dark gray, recreation open space in the light green. There is also a presence of residential 20 in the light brown. And then we have also residential 10 in the peach color. Within the jurisdiction of Temple Terrace, which is located to the east of the site, we have a presence of residential 9 to the north in the tan color, commercial in the red color. We also have a presence of office institutional in the dark purple color, residential 18 in the brown color located here. And again, the proposal is to change the entire site to community mixed use 35. Under the existing entitlements, up to 70 dwelling units could be developed, over 123,000 square feet of non-residential or residential uses. The portion of the subject site that is designated community mixed use 35, FAR can be used for either residential or non-residential uses. The portion of the site that's recognized under the residential 35, FAR is limited to non-residential only. If the request were to be approved entirely for the community mixed use 35, the residential unit count would remain at 70 dwelling units. However, the square feet for non-residential uses would increase to over 175,000 square feet. And under this scenario, square footage could be used for either residential or non-residential uses across the entire site. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Were there any questions or discussion items from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this time. Well, thank you for the information and move on to our next agenda item, 3K, TACPA 23-14 Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, multiple folios south of the intersection of East Fowler Avenue and North Central Avenue. And the presenter is Emily Phelan. Sorry, the phone threw me off.
That's all right.
Sorry. Emily Phelan, Planning Commission staff. This is TA CPA 2314, and it is multiple folios, so located south of the intersection of East Fowler Avenue and North Central Avenue. It's privately initiated, small scale, approximately 4.78 acres, and the request is to go from residential 10 and community mixed use 35 to community commercial 35. This is the general location map. It's located in the University Planning District in the East Forest Hills neighborhood. And here's the aerial of the subject site. It is outlined in pink. And to the north and the northwest along North Florida Avenue and East Fowler Avenue are more of your heavier commercial uses, as well as some general commercial uses, and as well as to the east of 275 here, and then it transitions to a single family neighborhood, and as well as here is a single family neighborhood located southwest of the subject site, and directly behind the subject site is an FDOT stormwater detention pond. This is facing north on North Central Avenue, looking at the subject site. And this is facing south, and the subject site is on the right. This is the adopted future land use map. The site's here, represented by the community mixed use 35 designation, and a small portion of the site here is residential 10. As you can see, to the north along East Fowler Avenue, as well as to the further west along Florida Avenue, is the CC 35 designation. The residential 10 with that single family neighborhood, and further south of the subject site is the residential 35 designation. And this is under the proposed, it's represented by the community commercial 35 designation. And under the existing designations of R10 and CMU 35, the site can be considered for 158 dwelling units and over 392,000 square feet of residential or non-residential uses on the CMU portion of the subject site. And under the CC 35 designation, it would allow 166 dwelling units and over 416,000 square feet of residential or non-residential uses. And with the community commercial 35 designation, it has the potential to introduce commercial intensive uses among the entire subject site. And this concludes my presentation. If you have any questions.
All right. Were there any questions or comments, discussion items from the commissioners? Not seeing any. We'll thank you for the information and move right along to item 3L, TACPA 23-15, Comprehensive Plan Text Amendment, Environmental Sensitive Areas, ESA, and the presenter is Danny Collins.
Danny Collins again with your Planning Commission staff. This is TACPA 2315, and it's a comprehensive plan text amendment related to environmental sensitive areas. Just a quick background, this is a privately initiated amendment. This amendment seeks more flexibility for development around ESA lands within the West Shore Planning District. Currently, under the adopted language in the plan, projects are eligible for a density or intensity credit if ESA lands exceed 20% of the total project area. This amendment expands on that provision in the plan. As proposed, if 50% or more of a site are deemed wetlands, the applicant will be allowed to weigh the density and or intensity throughout the entire site through a PD zoning. And this is specific to the West Shore Planning District, so it would not apply to Central, New Tampa, South Tampa, or the University District. This is a slide showing the conditions if an applicant decides they want to utilize this provision. All portions of the site must be contiguous. The 25% ESA credit cannot be clustered from land outside the coastal hazard area to land inside the coastal hazard area. Calculations of intensity can only be applied to the upland acreage of a site. And finally, the combined total number of dwelling units or FAR possible under all planning categories within the project will be used as the ceiling. Here is a map showing the future land use and the portions of the district that have ESA lands. You can see ESA lands. They're denoted by this teal color, primarily found in the coastal areas of the district, generally north of 275 and south of the Courtney Campbell Causeway. The affected areas would be the adjacent land uses just adjacent to the ESA land. So you have industrial, public, semi-public, commercial, community commercial 35 shown in this red color. And then as we get up around Rocky Point, we have some ESA lands adjacent to UMU 60 designated parcels, as well as CMU 35 designated parcels. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
All right, thank you. Were there any questions, discussion items, or comments from the commissioners on this one? Not seeing any at this time. We'll thank you for the information and move on to our next agenda item. 3M TACPA 23-16 Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, 2 folios located northwest of the intersection of North 46th Street and East Whiteway Drive. And the presenter is Emily Phelan.
Emily Phelan, Planning Commission staff. This is TACPA 2316. The request is privately initiated, small scale, 6.48 acres approximately, and the request is to go from heavy industrial to community mixed use 35. This is our general location map. It's located in the University Planning District, the Terrace Park neighborhood, the Tampa Industrial Park, and the Green Tech Corridor. The subject site is here, outlined in pink. To the north, there is a multifamily development, and to the west and as well as further south are some industrial uses and commercial uses along Fowler to the north, and some industrial uses along to the east as well. This is looking west on North 46th Street facing the subject site. It is here, the vacant area. And this is just a surrounding area facing east on North 46th Street. This is the adopted future land use map. The subject site is here, outlined in black, represented by the heavy industrial designation. As you can see, to the west and the south and the east of the subject site is primarily heavy industrial, with the CMU 35 designation with that multifamily development to the north. And this is the adopted future land use map, and it's represented by the community mixed use 35 designation. Under the heavy industrial designation, residential development is not permitted, but it would allow over 423,000 square feet of non-residential uses. Under the CMU 35 designation, it has the potential to introduce 226 dwelling units, or slightly over 5,064 square feet of residential or non-residential uses. And it would also introduce residential uses to the whole site as well. And that's the end of my presentation if you have any questions.
Thank you. Were there any questions, comments, or discussion items from commissioners? Not seeing any lights. Well, thank you for the information, and move on to our next agenda item, item number 4, which is our only action item for this regular meeting. Future land use update, contract extension, and presenter is Melissa Zornita.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Melissa Zornita, Executive Director. As you may recall, for the update of the future land use element for the unincorporated counties comprehensive plan, we have contracted with the firm EXP to provide facilitation of community outreach meetings and assistance with the overall engagement program for that update, because there are a lot of components and a lot of controversy to some of the ideas about growth in the unincorporated area. We have had 3 community meetings with the broad community. We've had 2 of 3 originally scoped project advisory team meetings. The 3rd one is at the beginning of August. And as we got first 1 or 2 of the meetings, we quickly recognized that we needed to have some additional outreach with the community, that there were a lot of questions, particularly related to the issues of timing of growth with infrastructure, how to encourage growth inside the urban service area, those types of issues we've spent a lot of time on. There's a lot of education of the community on some of what the plan says today that had to kind of occur in the first meetings to allow us to build upon that, to get better input from the residents who've participated. So we are looking at having some additional outreach in the fall once we have more finalized draft language to share with them. We've shared concepts, gotten feedback from them, need to come back out with the finalized language in the fall. And for that reason, what we're requesting of you today is an addendum to EXP's contract. Their original contract was right at the $50,000 limit that I was allowed to approve it without bringing it forward to the Planning Commission. We utilized our approved provider list and interviewed 3 consultants who were qualified in meeting facilitation, and EXP was selected for that. But now, if we add on to their contract this additional $50,000, it would go beyond the limit which I'm allowed to approve. But at the same time, it seemed disingenuous to go out and do a RFP when we knew we had the consultant, already on board and wanted to continue working with them. They've been very effective, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from the community that Ms. Elmore, who's the lead facilitator, has been very good at calming down some of the controversy and hearing from making sure all sides are getting heard in the meetings. So it is on that basis that we're here to request your approval of my signing this extension of their contract for an additional $50,000 to allow additional outreach meetings, and in recognition that we're going a little, not following exactly the procedures because we did not do an RFP up front. So happy to answer any questions.
All right. Are there any questions from the commissioners? I guess I have a question. Since we're not following the procedure, are we okay not following that procedure? Tracy, with the RFP, I presume we aren't. We are because we've already done it at the outset, and this is a continuation of the work they're doing. But I just figured I should ask.
With the board's approval, yes.
Right, okay.
Yes, that's why we're bringing it to you.
All right. Commissioner Lauk. Yeah.
Couple questions.
Sure.
What did the initial scope spell out in terms of how many meetings?
They were scoped for 3, and Andrea's here in case I'm wrong about this, they were scoped for 3 public outreach meetings and then 3 project advisory team meetings.
We had 4 meetings, and the 5th and 6th were optional. But so that would be a total of 6.
And with the addition.
With the addition.
Yeah.
But we've done 5 community meetings so far and 3 PAT meetings, so we're already beyond that scope. They've worked with us with what we've had originally with the 50,000. Now we're looking at adding up to, we kind of left it broad, but up to 2 additional community meetings and 2 more PAT meetings as necessary. So if we don't need those meetings, we wouldn't spend the full 50,000.
You answered one of my
and I should clarify that the number of meetings, each time we do an in-person meeting, we also do a virtual meeting. So when I said there was 1 public meeting, or that we'd done 3 public meetings, we also did 3 virtual meetings that went along with that. So that is how you're getting it 6. I was counting it as 3. She was counting it as 6. So
the doubling of the payout coincides with the doubling of the scope, so there'll be an additional equivalent amount of meetings on the second 50K.
well, it's not quite equivalent. So they're being asked to do 2 more instead of, they were originally scoped for
5 to 6.
Yeah, for 6, and this would be 2 or really 4, because they do the virtual every time as well. But we're also asking them to do a more comprehensive report of what we've heard, and put all of that together so that at the end of all of this, we have a synthesized report of the feedback we've gotten through not only these meetings, but also the survey and online feedback we've gotten.
And apologies to put you on the spot, but do we know how many residents on average have attended each meeting in person?
So it's
more than are fine, more than 10, more than 20, more than 100.
So the first few, we had very good attendance. Our virtual meetings have had a lot better attendance than the in-person ones. But I will say we also, like our last meeting, I was at the ones in June, and the one in person only had 3 people show up at in person. We had over 20 online. I think we found that June is not a good meeting to have, a month to have public meetings, because, you know, a lot of people are probably on summer vacation. So we are looking at enhancing our publicity. We had our strongest meeting was the first one, and we had quite a push in terms of online advertising, some ads in the community newspapers like the Osprey Observer, associated with the survey that was going on at that time. And we think that that helped drive the attendance much higher. We had close to 60 people online in that one, I think.
Yeah, around 50, but
Okay.
part of our scope is also for the consultant to help and come up with ways to boost that publicity. So we've heard from some community members, oh, consider radio ads, or maybe you should look at Telemundo. So we're working with the consultant on what else we can do as part of this extension.
Thank you.
All right. Commissioner, is that Commissioner Bowden?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Well, I think you mentioned it, but with these meetings, have you noticed, what do you see the value? Have you seen, out of the meetings, what was the value that you received, or have you been able to gauge that at this point?
So I would say the number one value of the meetings has been that there's an increase of those who participate, which obviously is not, is a small percentage of the overall unincorporated county. But I think there's been a lot of education and dialogue about really important growth issues, just like you all were talking about at the beginning of the meeting with the population projections. Some of that same information from Yasser's presentation we've been sharing with the community members, and getting feedback on what might be viable solutions to addressing some of that growth. I think that's been positive, not that everybody agrees or that there's coalescence around one answer to that, but there's a lot more education and understanding about what the community is facing. That being said, we are only reaching a small subset of the population. If we did not come back, if we came to public hearings, I think, without additional meetings that have kind of closed the loop with some of the folks who have been engaged and made sure that they felt heard and see how we have modified the plan policies as a result of their feedback, I think that you would end up with even more upset people here in front of you all, saying we don't understand. So I want to make sure that the people who have been engaged are seeing through our work how we are listening and how we are responding in the policy changes.
Well, I can say that with my experience in going through some of these plan changes, yeah, you may have a low turnout, but then that some of the information is communicated via those few 3 or 5 people communicated out to other people as well. And I think the thing that is beneficial, you mentioned something about a survey. If doing a survey, I think you get a lot of information out of that survey that even though you may have low turnout, but due to communications, you'll see a lot of information you'll receive from that.
Yeah.
So I can support that.
Yeah, do you want to mention some of the survey numbers? Because we got a lot of data in that survey.
We did get over 1,800 survey participants and about 32,000 data points that we collected. And we are going to be before the Planning Commission in August meeting for a briefing to go over its survey and kind of the major themes we've heard from our engagement so far as well.
Very good. Are there any other questions from the commissioners, discussions? And I believe we are going to have to, oh wait, I guess I was supposed to take public comment, but no one really signed up for it on that one, so, all right, there's no one here. He's not part of the public, is he? No, okay, all right. All right, yeah, got to be sure these days. All right, so now I guess I'll close the public comment section and open it up and entertain motions from any of the commissioners, because this is an action item. Commissioner Buzza.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'd like to move that we approve the additional contract to EXP for the balance of the survey time and period that they're requesting.
Second.
All right, we have a motion of approval by Commissioner Buzza, a second to that motion by Commissioner Lauk. Any other questions, comments from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this time. I'll ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Bernstein,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Buzza,
Yes?
Cardenas,
Yes.
Fernandez,
Yes.
Handy,
Yes.
Lauk,
Yes.
Joseph.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 8-0.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much for the information. And we will go on to our next agenda item, 5, Executive Director's Report. And the presenter is Melissa Zornita.
Good afternoon again. Melissa Zornita, Executive Director. At your seat, you should have a copy of my Executive Director's Report. Just wanted to highlight a couple of things. You will see on there throughout a number of Hillsborough County Future Land Use Project Advisory Team meeting, things like that. Those are those meetings that we've been having as part of that public outreach. On June 16th, we had the strategic planning retreat. I really appreciate those of you who were able to attend. I think it was some great discussion with the TPO board members and the River Board members. And one of the things that we heard probably the loudest from that retreat was that participants wanted more opportunities like that to interact across the 3 boards. So we'll be looking at how we can incorporate that in the strategic plan and maybe have more focused discussions on some of the topics that you all raised initially at that meeting. I did want to highlight that as we met last week to talk about the next steps on that retreat, the work for the strategic plan. And we had originally scheduled to have a staff retreat to kind of flesh out ideas based on the direction that you all gave us at your retreat in early September. But the TPO Executive Director search will conclude on, I think it's September 13th. And so we think it is in the best interest of the agency for us to wait and have that retreat when we have the new TPO Executive Director. Ideally, during that sweet spot where Ms. Alden is still here and the new director is also here, and they can both participate. So I just wanted to let you know that that means staff will be meeting to kind of take the next steps in October probably, and that means a draft would be coming to you all a little bit later in the year than we had hoped. So certainly by December at the very latest, but depending on what date we're able to arrive at with that new executive director and their availability and how soon they're going to be on board, it might, we hoped for November, but we'll see how soon we're able to get you a draft. But I wanted to just let you all know that in terms of those next steps. A couple of other highlights, the transportation management area, which is the 3 MPOs of Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough, met on June 23rd. They had some very preliminary discussions about what they might like to see in a regional MPO. No decisions were made. They did some online polling, kind of like we did at the strategic planning retreat, just to get kind of a barometer of where they were thinking. And there definitely seems to be some interest in having continued localized committees to hear from residents at a local level about the transportation planning issues. How that will ultimately be structured, time will tell. They're supposed to conclude with a report by the end of the calendar year. There was more discussion than decision-making than I think they initially thought there would be at that meeting, so those discussions are anticipated to continue at their next meeting. At the end of last month, we had a meeting with the county attorney's office on the commercial locational criteria. And you might remember those policies were fairly controversial when they were before you all as an update. I guess it was end of last year, beginning of this year. We were folding those into the land use section update, and the change in state statute through Senate Bill 250 that requires that we are not allowed to implement anything more restrictive or prohibitive in the comprehensive plan until October 2024. Is going to limit what we're able to do in updating policies like the locational criteria. It was the county attorney's advice that where the set of changes we were looking at had some additional flexibility being added, and in return for that, some limitations on what types of commercial uses could go in certain areas. Their advice was that any limitations would run afoul of Senate Bill 250. So we're kind of using that same lens, looking at the whole future land use element and wanting to, and focusing mostly on how we can add additional flexibility or incentives, but at the same time balancing that we can't add any more regulation. That means that some of the changes we may not make because we'd rather not open the door too wide and not be able to without being able to close it in some other areas. So I wanted to share that because I think that's important for you all to understand as you see what we're bringing back over the next few months in terms of draft amendments to the land use element, that we really are constrained by that state statute and not wanting to do anything that would be harmful by opening things up too wide. So we're going to be focusing where we can on flexibility and incentives. There is even some concern on the part of the county attorney's office that some of the things that we were deleting might be considered as more restrictive if they at one point offered somebody something, even if it had never been used. For example, there's a policy that allowed for daycare centers in employment centers. Didn't really do a whole lot. Nobody'd ever really used it. They're kind of allowed under the code anyway in those districts, so it seems superfluous to us to have this added policy language in there, but it was taking something that was allowed away, and that may be viewed as being more restrictive. So the plan may not be as streamlined as we'd hoped it would be because we're having to look through it through this lens. It's definitely a challenge. If the plan was had a longer time horizon than 2025, we might have more flexibility in the timing of when we bring forward these updates, but I think it's very important that we get the plan updated and have the longer time horizon in place before we hit 2025. A couple of, because that also would run afoul of state law if we didn't have a plan that had the right time horizon. Couple of other things to highlight for you. The Valrico Community Plan will be starting in this month. We've had some meetings with Commissioner Owen, who's very engaged on the BOCC on that topic. He requested the plan. We will be having open houses to kick off that on July 22nd and July 24th, as well as a virtual online one later that same week of the 24th. So we have a number of options for people to get involved in that. There's also an online survey at the moment as well. As you have probably noticed by the 12 plan amendments that were on the briefing today, the workload that we are undertaking continues to be quite high on plan amendments. Zonings are similarly very high. And so I have been meeting with the Masters in Urban and Regional Planning Department, Professor Linkus, and the planner in residence, Amber Dickerson, about utilizing their fall studio. They have a class that meets in a studio setting to work on a project, and they have agreed to do that for us for the fall, with a focus on looking at some areas of the county's future land use map and where we might make amendments to increase density inside the urban service area. Again, focusing on how we might facilitate additional infill and redevelopment by making some proactive map changes. And look forward to getting their help with that, so that that's not something that my team can take on right now. In terms of some of the information items, the plan amendment updates are listed there. I did want to correct one thing that I got a chat from staff after this was printed, that under the Hillsborough County list, there was one plan amendment. You saw this a couple of times out on Hillsborough Avenue, close to Racetrack Road, the request to increase density in the coastal high hazard area, and that was denied by the Board of County Commissioners at a hearing on June 15th. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes, exactly. You're remembering exactly right. Yeah, they made it smaller and changed the request to the RMU 35, and that was turned down by the board. It was not unanimous. If I remember correctly, it was either 5-2 or 4-3. It did their discussion hinged, I would say, almost entirely on the coastal high hazard area. Yeah.
That's good detail. Thank you. That's informative on that one specifically.
Yeah. Yeah, they, it was a very interesting and substantive debate and discussion that they had. If you get the opportunity to watch, all their meetings are on YouTube, so they really had a very good debate about that, and whether or not investing in additional development and therefore additional infrastructure and needs in that area was a wise thing to do. So, yeah. Mr. Rodriguez did let me know that his second term as our representative on the City of Tampa's Affordable Housing Advisory Committee has come to an end. Each appointee is allowed 2 3-year terms, and Commissioner Rodriguez has served those for us. So we will be needing a volunteer to represent the Planning Commission on that body. They must be a resident of the City of Tampa, so there are only 2 of our Tampa representatives here today. If either of you are interested in volunteering, please let us know. If not, we can wait till Commissioner Kress and Commissioner Saria are back and hit them up. But we will need a new representative there. I believe they're allowing you to serve until somebody else is appointed, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, great. So I'm not seeing rapid movement towards volunteering here. So
we're gonna have to do it next time around.
Yeah, we'll bring that up again next month. And next month, we will have those 12 plan amendments on your public hearing. So just be prepared for that.
City of Tampa?
City of Tampa, yeah. What you heard in the briefing today will all be next month in the evening. We only have one item for September, though, so you'll get a bit of a break with a shorter meeting in September. With that, that's all I had in my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Bernstein. I blanked on your name for a second there. Sorry, Mr. Bernstein.
No problem. More of an observation than anything, but you mentioned the strategic plan retreat, and I thought it was a really productive use of time. But what stood out to me were two things. One, you had a pretty diverse group of people in there, including some electeds, and I think at least two of them made a point to say that, believe it or not, they do listen to the presentations, and they do listen to the input, and maybe that doesn't surprise anyone in the room, but it's still reassuring to hear that, that they value the dialogue that gets exchanged on a number of issues. And, you know, maybe somewhat related to that, we went through an exercise designed to just field questions to seek out where we may need more clarity. And while you can never tell where the questions are coming from, it from my perspective, it was reassuring to know we may not be the only folks on the planet who are seeking more clarity on the coastal high hazard area concept, because the question came from points all over the room. So sometimes we go about this, at least I do, feeling like I'm in this small bubble, but maybe the bubble isn't quite as small as I thought.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Bernstein. All right. Any other comments? I did have a question for you, Melissa. On the commercial locational criteria meeting with the county's office, we're doing a lot of stuff with the City of Tampa, and they're going back and changing and updating their comp plans. Are we kind of keeping that same kind of lens as we help our jurisdictions through their stuff? Because we don't want them doing things that are going to open can of worms. I mean, obviously they're their own jurisdictions, they can do what they want,
Well, absolutely. We have had discussions with the city attorney's office. Katrina and Diego have run those two updates of the environmental and sustainability section and the mobility section through the through the city attorney's office to make sure that they were comfortable. I think Katrina mentioned to me there were only a couple of places where they wanted a few minor wording tweaks to make sure it was clear a new regulation was not being imposed, but that it was more directive towards the city as opposed towards property owners. So so far we feel comfortable with what we're moving forward with, and we are making sure that legal from all jurisdictions, if we're bringing something forward, that they're getting a chance to review and opine on that. The statute does not apply to privately initiated amendments. So the privately initiated text amendments, for example, that Danny presented, the same standard does not apply.
Okay. Does that influence our? Well, I'll save that question. I won't ask that question right now because it might make Tracy's head explode. So I'll talk to Tracy about it. Any other? Commissioner Handy, I see your light. Yes.
We talked about this briefly. I don't know if it was as a group, or just me and you, Melissa, about the previous discussion about limiting the number of comp plan amendments per a certain time frame, or having maybe windows of here's when you can do this. And since you mentioned workload and deadlines coming up, and between that and, I mean, at some point, when is it too much for staff? But I'm also wondering, does that make more of a burden, put more of a burden on the public? Is it a lot to keep up with? I mean, the way I envision our comp plan is it's the public's comp plan. I mean, it's our guideline for growth for our communities and our existing residents, right? They need to have the opportunity to keep up with that and comment on it. And with the recent passage of Senate Bill 540, things are going to get tougher, and it's going to be even more important to maintain public and community involvement. So I know that's kind of a couple different things, staff workload and public, making sure that the public has the opportunity to participate now more than ever. Is it something that maybe we should somehow talk about revisiting?
Yeah, we've had a lot of discussion internally about the volume of plan amendments and a concern that if that is sustained over time, which I think that's the one thing that we're not sure of yet, is whether or not this level of 12 amendments, or you originally had 8 on tonight's agenda, and now we're down to 6 because one withdrew and one continued, but whether or not that's going to continue. Right now, the procedures manuals allow for plan amendments for each jurisdiction 4 times a year. So the county has like January and April and July, and people can apply, and then the city of Tampa is February, and then they come to you about 4 months later in the process for a public hearing. Until this year, I would say that's been very manageable, but this year really has been unusual, and it does make for long meetings for you all. That's long meetings for the public, and if somebody wants to weigh in on agenda item number 12 on that public hearing next month, they're waiting an awfully long time for that. So I think there are, some things we could look at if this level of amendments continues, whether or not there is a limit on the number of agenda items per Planning Commission public hearing. That's one approach per cycle of amendments. Then, at some point those items are going to come back. So it's just whether or not we can spread it out to have less of these sharp peaks, perhaps. We did not get any amendments in June for Plant City or Temple Terrace. So as you saw, Yanika is pitching in and helping on one of the City of Tampa amendments. So we're looking at how we can use all our staff resources to help across the agency, because I'm always concerned about, a knee-jerk reaction could be we need more staff to deal with all of this. But if that peak is not sustained, then then do we have to let people go? That's not good either. So trying to look at, we've taken on an additional intern from the University of South Florida's planning program for the fall and spring semesters to help with workload. The other thing that I would say that is compounding the workload is that we're losing folks like Sam. And he's done a tremendous job for us, and that's hard as we, and that happens. I'm very happy for Sam, just sad for us that, and then there will be a learning curve for whoever new comes in, and so that impacts productivity as well. I'm not sure if I've fully answered the other part of your question related to Senate Bill 540, but
you kind of touched on it, because I think that's a very real concern, that the burden on the public to participate in something where there's 12 items on the agenda. And as I said, now more than ever, it's more important to get public input, and let's make sure we get these comp plan amendments correct, and we hear from our communities, because once it's decided, it's done. That bill has basically shut down the opportunity for citizen opposition.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that we as a board need to also be very aware of.
Well, and I think I would just add this, that I think it also speaks to part of why we feel it's important to have some additional outreach, for example, on the county's future land use element before we bring that forward in public hearings, because we really want to make sure that's reflecting what we're hearing from our stakeholders, particularly if we're in the context that once it's in the plan, what the statute now says is now we can't make anything more restrictive than what's been in the plan since 2008. So that's, now that presumably will expire in October 2024, but I don't know that to be sure that that's going to expire. So I think it is very important that we're very careful and deliberative about what we put into the comprehensive plan through these updates, and that we get good input from everyone. I will say that on that note, looking at the scheduling for next year, when we have the hearing on something like the future land use element update for the county or for the city, we might be looking at some additional hearings on your calendar so that those can have their own separate night, because I think they're that important of a component of the comprehensive plan. They can't be on the same night with a bunch of privately initiated amendments. It's just too much for the community and for you all to take action on.
We've got a light over here, Commissioner Bowden or Bernstein, one of the two. All right.
I said, you talked about Senate Bill 250, and I just wanted to bring this up. So we're talking about restrictions and everything. So it's kind of like until October 2024, possibly, no restrictions. For instance, that now if someone has 4 corners on a major highway, they can put all storage facilities, because you cannot say you cannot.
That is correct. If the plan or the code do not have anything restricting those uses today, we cannot add something that says, for example, in the code, it applies to both the land development code and the comprehensive plan, that says storage facilities can only take up 1 corner of an intersection, because that would be more restrictive than what we have today. We could add an incentive that said if you don't do a storage facility and do something else, you get extra density or intensity. We can approach it from that angle, but we're having to put on our creative hats on how we can still end up at some of the same results. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was in a bill about reconstruction after Hurricane Ian, and it applies to all communities, local governments that are within 100 miles of the landfall of Hurricane Ian, or there was a tropical storm that hit the other side of Nicole. So it kind of like, I've seen a map of somebody mapped it, and Hillsborough County's within 100 miles, and so it applies to us, and it expires under current law October 1st, 2024.
So effectively what it did was it froze comprehensive plans in order to facilitate redevelopment in devastated areas.
Yes, as I understand it from some of the folks in the know in Tallahassee, it was really reactive to some of the things that were being imposed in Lee and Collier counties as to new redevelopment and new provisions that were being put in place in those areas, but the way it was worded impacts a much broader swath, and if something is put forward and we are challenged, and I'm not the attorney in the room, but this is how the county attorney's office explained it to me. If we're challenged on a provision, it's like automatic that it gets thrown out. So we want to be very cautious about not having the whole update of the future land use element being thrown out, for example. So
it was set to expire October 1st, 2024.
Yes.
It has to proactively be repassed and re-signed in order for it to continue. So it's a stopgap measure, correct?
Yeah, it would have to, there would have to be some legislative action to change that date or something to that effect. It also, I should say, was retroactive to the date of the storm, so September 2022. So we've also worked with the county attorneys and city attorney's office to look at what we've passed in the last year and made sure, like, for example, the update of the housing element for the county, the one water section for the city of Tampa, that none of those contained anything that would be viewed as more restrictive or prohibitive, I believe is the terms, so.
In Senate Bill 540, Were there any other provisions in it outside of the prevailing party is owed attorney's fees up to and including the appellate courts?
I'm not sure if that was the most impactful one to our work. I can't recall anything else off the top of my head. Last month, we had an update from our legislative liaison on all of the bills, and that was attached to my report. I can recirculate that because she did a really nice job of summarizing not only these two bills, but a number of others. There was one that, I can't recall the number off the top of my head, that also made some changes to the requirements of the comprehensive plan, making sure that it gets updated to have a 20-year planning horizon. And that's the one that concerns me about the county's plan horizon right now being 2025 and us needing to get that rectified.
Your mic, yeah.
Do you know if that was in response to like local governments trying to rebuild different or better, or I'm just wondering.
I don't know the details of that, except that what I was told was that there were more restrictions being put on those communities that were rebuilding. I don't know the nature of those restrictions.
Just kind of curious about that, but okay, thank you.
Which bill was that? Commissioner Luck was asking.
Oh, that was in Senate Bill 250.
I wasn't sure which bill Commissioner Handy was asking about, 250
yeah.
or 540.
All right. Are there any other questions or discussion items from the commissioner? I wanted to say I did notice Yanika was up there for Tampa, which confused me also, but I didn't say anything. I think I've been here too long now because I see certain staff come up to present something, and I'm like, why are you?
When you get 12 amendments in here, it's all hands on deck.
Okay. All right. Were there any more questions on the executive director's report or discussion items from the commissioners? Not seeing any. Then we'll thank you for your report.
Thank you.
And we will move on to our business, other businesses. Chair's business, I have none. Old business, we have none. Does anyone have any new business? Yes, Commissioner Fernandez.
I was curious what process we can go through to have the staff reports include the FEMA flood mapping for each site.
Yes, I made a note of that at your last meeting of the interest, and we will be reflecting that in new staff reports coming forward. So that will start the next time you see county and city ones.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Cool. All right. Was there any other new business from the commissioners? Not seeing anyone eager right now. We will move on to committee reports. Are there committee reports? Commissioner Bowden, I'll come to you after.
Yes, I had my first meeting with the Affordable Housing Advisory Board, relatively short. The basic information was the staff is going to do a deep dive on the Live Local Act. The one good thing about it is that, you know, it is a streamline as far as getting permits and building processes done. Also, it's going to help bolster affordable housing by utilizing properties that are already in land banks and different disposition of those lands, so that maybe it may have needed a the city would not city, but the county maybe wouldn't do anything with the property because if it need maybe a stage 1 EPA study, but it may actually put it into the put it up front to to be able to be utilized. So more to come as they actually drill down into it a little bit further, but it does open up potential abundance of affordable housing.
All right. Thank you. Commissioner Rodriguez.
Yes. And on June 21st, the city had their Affordable Housing Advisory Committee meeting, and kind of from what Commissioner Bowden's saying, the Live Local Act, which is Senate Bill 102, was the main topic of conversation for us. Abby Feely did an excellent presentation and really broke down what the city is going to do as far as allowing affordable housing, essentially affordable housing residential in non-residential land uses. And so basically, anything that is not zoned as a residential land use already is going to be available for affordable housing. Yes, and it's going to be an administrative procedure, so we're not going to see it at the Planning Commission or even really at City Council zoning hearings. It's one of those things that where live local, everybody is they're really cheering a lot of what's going on with it, but this is a game changer here as far as how you're going to put residential in non-residential areas. So, and basically, from what I could tell from Abby's presentation, the deal is that 40% of the units would be affordable, 120% AMI, and they'd be affordable for 30 years. And in a mixed-use condition, 65% of the total square foot would be used for residential. But if you've got an industrial parcel and you met that criteria, you would administratively be allowed to put residential. So this is big. I'm hoping that the Planning Commission is tracking this, and we're going to be ready for when these things come through, because this is game changer.
Yes, we had been tracking that bill, and that was included in the legislative report from Diane Sauls. I think the interesting part is that there's not much that the Planning Commission has as a role in this, because of just what you said, that we are working with each of the local governments on what's considered mixed use, what's considered industrial, what's considered commercial. Most of them are doing that based on the zoning, and but if they have for example, that property that is on Fowler Avenue that's heavy industrial, if they were willing to commit the 40% to affordable housing, they could have gone right past the Planning Commission and the zoning hearings that they'll need. Additionally, they will be allowed the maximum density of the jurisdiction. So in the city of Tampa, that's 100. And they're allowed, I believe, the maximum height. So there's some provision about height.
And that's just that the jurisdiction cannot restrict the height below the highest commercial or residential structure within 1 mile of the project or up to 3 stories. It's really your FAA criteria, which would control your height, which is wild.
Yeah. So I think where we may honestly face this the most from our agency's standpoint is, 2-3 years from now, people saying, how did that get built? That doesn't meet the plan. We don't understand why there's residential there when it's designated heavy industrial, or it's industrial, and then there's complaints about the impacts of the industrial on the residential. So I think it will be interesting to see how it plays out.
Right. So of course, this went into effect on July 1st. July 13th, I believe city staff will be updating city council on this, so stay tuned if you're interested. So our next Affordable Housing Advisory Committee meeting will be July 19th, and once again, looking for a replacement for me. So if any of the Tampa residents on the board would like to come in and just check out the meeting, please, it's generally the third Wednesday at 1:30, and so we can give you directions. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez. All right, were there any other reports? Yes.
Yeah, just a
Mr.
quick question about that, the affordable housing one. Does that contemplate like coastal high hazard area or rural service area, or, are we just, it's across any jurisdiction? Oh, brilliant. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Handy. Commissioner Cardenas.
Yeah, the River Board meeting, they did have a meeting. They're looking at just the future. We're going through so much growth. What other options are there in the future for different forms of water treatment or, I think, let me see here, we've got, you know, looking at not just Hillsborough, but just the tri-county area, everything is growing. So they're trying to plan ahead for other options. You know, they did have the discussion about different ways of going about it. One of them, hold on. Our main sources now are groundwater, river water, and desalination. They brought up the conversation about reclaimed water, but it was negatively kind of received, but not for technical reasons, more so just the vibe of it all. But they've got a plan, and they're just moving forward, trying to figure out different ways and different possibilities, and kind of going through a process of a short list and a long list of what could work and what couldn't. And by November, they plan on having something a little bit more direct.
Very good, thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners on that? No, I'm not seeing any. Are there any other committee reports? I don't think so. Not seeing any. Then that is our last item of business. So with that, our meeting is over. Our public hearing will start at what, 5:30? 5:30 today. So we will see everyone back here at 5:30, and this regular meeting is adjourned.